Morning guys, I thought I would show you today, seeing as it's my son's birthday, how to make my favorite chocolate cake. I will put the recipe on. It's a BBC recipe. I have changed it just a little bit. And it's so easy guys, which is why I wanted to share it with you. So I've got my oven on and I've got all my ingredients ready. So in my bowl I have 225 grams of flour, and to that I'm going to add 350 grams of caster sugar. I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoon each of bicarb and baking powder. And then I'm going to add some of my wet ingredients. Now guys, this is a top tip. Don't add your cocoa powder with your dry ingredients. Add your cocoa powder on top of your wet ingredients, and it mixes it nicely and gives the chocolate cake a really dark color. So once I've got those in, I'm going to add in the milk, and I've got 250 mils of milk, and I've got 125 mils of oil, and then I'm going to do the eggs. Now with the eggs, I want you to make sure that you crack your eggs into a smaller little bowl. Two reasons for that: if you get any eggshell in there, then you can make sure that you get that out before you put your egg into your cake. And also, if your egg is bad, you don't add that to the rest of your mixture, because you would then have to throw the whole thing away. So done that, and I've got my 2 eggs into my mixture. Right, then I've got my cocoa powder, which goes on top of the liquid. And then I've got another little tip for you. Right, in here I've got 250 mils of boiling water, and I've got a tablespoon of coffee. Now the recipe, the BBC recipe, doesn't have coffee in it, but I just wanted to tell you that coffee really brings out the flavor of the chocolate. You won't be able to taste the coffee guys, so don't worry about that, but I promise the coffee brings out makes the chocolate flavor more intense. Right, now you can either use this mixer, which is just a general cake mixing, or I have an attachment to my mixer that actually scrapes the bowl, and I like to use this one. But you can also use a hand mixer guys, and you can also mix this by hand, so any of those will work. Right, and now it's just a case of stirring. I'm going to start mixing this, and I'm going to start mixing it on low. Right, now I've got a couple of lumps, so I'm just going to get rid of those, and then I'll be back. Right, so now I'm going to have this on low, very low, and I'm going to start adding the boiling water. And you don't want the mixture inside your your bowl to start cooking, so you are going to have it on slow. And you're just going to add it a little bit at a time. guys, I'm making this as a birthday cake, and instead of using two 20cm tins, I'm using three 18cm tins because I want a higher cake rather than a larger cake. So what I'm going to do, and because it's a birthday cake, I'm actually going to measure this very accurately, but you don't have to do that. You can do it this way. You can just do it by eye and put as much mixture or the same amount of mixture in each tin. So what I've got is I've got a scale underneath my tin. All my tins weigh roughly 140, 141, 138. So I know that the mixture that I put in each one must weigh a certain amount. And then I know that my cake will be even or very even. Right, so I've done that, and that's going to go into the oven for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Right guys, so those have come out of the oven, and I wanted to go over with you the signs that a cake is done. First of all, your nose will tell you. So you will be able to start smelling the cake, and it just smells like chocolate in my house now. You will also be able to see that the cake is pulling away from the edge of the tin. It is like a little sponge, and it springs back, and it's not wet on the top or glossy on the top. And all those things will tell you that a cake is done. You do not need to poke anything into your cake unless you are completely unsure as to whether it's done or not. Use a toothpick. Don't poke a knife into a cake, please. It's one of my pet hates. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how to get that out of the tin. Right, so I have a little plastic palette knife that I use. Please don't use metal because it'll scratch your tins. You are going to make sure, cool it down in the tin for about 5 minutes, and then you're going to make sure that it's loose from the sides. Now remember guys, I'm making 4 layers, so my layers are going to be a little bit thinner than yours, and then I'm going to stack them up. Now there's 2 ways of doing this. You can either use another cooling rack and place it over the top and flip your cake over. But guys, this is one of my pet hates again, is when you turn this lovely domey top of your cake over onto this, it gets this little pattern on it imprinted into the cake, and I do not like that. So I use a clean tea towel. I pop that over and I place my hand right in the center. I will then flip the whole thing over onto my hand and then lift the tin and then pull off the paper, and do it carefully. I was running out of baking paper, so I've got a few little pieces here just to make up so that my cake didn't stick. And then once you've got the paper off, you can then very gently just flip it over again onto your cooling rack. Alright, and then let that cool for well, it must be completely cool before you start decorating guys, otherwise everything will just melt into the cake. Okay, so now my cakes are all cold and they're ready to be decorated. So what I've got now is, guys, my layers are I've got 3 even layers, but I had a little bit left over, so what I did was I made another layer. So it's slightly thinner than all the others. But to glue my cake, because you don't want your cake to move, you're just going to take a dollop. Now I've got ganache here, and this ganache is made with condensed milk and chocolate, and I will put the recipe for that in the description of the video. But I absolutely love ganache between the layers of the cake. Now also you will have high places and low places on your cake, but as I'm covering the whole cake, I'm going to stack my cake in such a way that it's as even as possible. Or you can simply take the top of your cake and you can slice off the sort of slightly rounded bit, but I'm just going to use ganache to even mine out. And then what we're going to do is now I love sandwiching the cake together with ganache, and the only reason I like doing that is because it actually goes it doesn't go hard, but it sort of goes like a chewy consistency. Well, it's like a truffle, and it just makes an absolutely lovely texture inside the cake. So that's why I like using it. But you can use buttercream, you can use jam, you can use melted chocolate, you can use anything that you want to. And I just don't do it all the way to the end. All right, just a thin layer, because remember I've got 4 layers, and you can make as many layers as you want, guys. Well, I wouldn't go higher than 6, but otherwise it starts falling into pieces. And I'm going to do that with all the layers, and then I'll show you what that looks like. All right, guys, so now I'm going to just try and see if I can move the camera to show you what that looks like. And what I've done is where my cake looks uneven to me, I've just shoved little pieces of cake, but you can do that with anything. You can do that with buttercream, you can do it with extra cakes, chocolates, anything you want, because I'm going to cover the whole cake in sweets. You're not really going to see what's going on the inside. Right, so now I've got some buttercream here that I made up, and I'll pop the recipe on the description as well. But now, guys, once again, this is a very soft buttercream because I am just covering the cake in this so that I can stick sweets to it. Because it's a birthday cake, I wouldn't normally stick sweets all over it. I've just covered in buttercream and that's it. In fact, I don't really like buttercream, so a lot of the times I would actually just sprinkle it with icing, and that would be it. So I use this little palette knife, but you can use a knife, you can use a spoon, all right, the back of a spoon. I got this, oh, guys, this is so old. You can see it's bent, and I think it was about £1, £2 maybe. You put a big dollop on the top, and again, please remember, if I was making this as icing, I would be making little swirls all over the top, but that's not necessary because I am literally just using this as a glue for sweets. So I've done that on the top, and now if I've got any excess, I'm just going to push it over the sides. And for the sides, I'm going to take a dollop. I'm going to see if I can, you're going to be able to see my computer now. I'm going to see if I can get the camera angled so that I can show you. Right, and then I'm going to put a dollop on, and I'm going to smooth it on the side. And I'm going to do that all the way around, and I'll show you what it looks like. Right, so now I have chopped up some KitKats, and I'm going to be putting those, and my son is here to help me, and we're going to be sticking these to the side of the cake. So, and the reason I've done them in singles, guys, is because it's easier to fit them in and actually to attach them to the cake. Okay, so we're going to carry on going around the cake until the whole cake is covered on the sides. And we'll come back and show you what that looks like. Right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to decorate the top. So you can see that all the KitKats are around the side, and we've divided the top of the cake in 3. You can divide it in 4, you can divide it however many you want. And I have got some Skittles here, and I'm going to pop those on, and my son is going to, these are his favorite sweets, so we are going to be putting Skittles and M&Ms all over. Right, so we're getting to the last one that we're doing. Don't want to put a red one there, I need a different color. But it really doesn't matter, guys, just have fun. This is what this one is all about, is just having fun. So you just put whatever, wherever. I think there were more sweeties that went into the mouth than went onto the cake.
Wait,
But there we go. All right, so guys, now what we've got is our final finishing touches, and I'm going to, well done. I'm going to get the candle and then I'll show you the finished effect. Right guys, so there we have it. Really quick, really easy. The recipe for the cake is there. Very easy to decorate and quick, and it looks so great. And you can use obviously any sweeties on top that you want. Enjoy, show me your creations. And obviously this is for a birthday cake, so that's why it's got so many sweets on. Enjoy.